am. Oh, wow. We got pro wrestling inside and out right in front of our faces. Wait a minute.
And welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out.
This would be okay to open up with.
Yeah, we could do that.
Did
you turn that on?
I have no idea how that got up. Let me take it. Oh, okay. You turn it off. Flip this around. I like to be in number one.
Oh, you don't want to be in number one where you want to be.
I want to be down where Jack's at. You can be where you're at, and then he can be. Jack will be. That's good for Jack to be number one. Oops.
Yeah, I've been number two all my life.
Whoa. Oh. That the book he called The Wrestler's Wrestler is what it was called. I don't think I've heard of it before.
What's that? That guy, that young guy?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we need to talk to him.
Ryan Young, yeah, sure. Is there any way we can get in touch with them through there?
Does it stay on there? Does the comments stay on? I don't have not had time to look at comments.
I know when Mama watches it later, all the comments, because she goes through the comment. Michael Barr says he has arrived.
All right. Let's see which one we want to do first.
Richard was saying Jack Lord and Jerry Oates should be in the top 10 of the wrestlers.
I'm all right with that. Let's see, where did I put this? I really do need to go to some kind of school and learn how to do my computer stuff and put it where I need it. So we're doing a Kerry Von Erich and Adrian Street, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we can do Adrian first. I'll do the first page, Rodney, and you can do that page and a half, and then I'll square back up with you on the Kerry Von Erich stuff.
All right.
All right, just a second. All right, I'll put the pictures in. I'll put the pictures in later on because I want to fly them in and stuff. So, just a second. All right, here we go. Going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. This is going to be our continuous look at the exotic Adrian Street. And I believe, Rodney, you've got or just Jack. I think Jack's got the first stuff. And, hey, some very good matches with Adrian Street coming up.
April the 1st, 1984, at the Civic Center in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Adrian Street defeated Brian Adidas. Also on the 1st, Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina, Adrian Street defeated Keith Larson. Then on the 2nd, Memorial Auditorium in Greenville, South Carolina, Adrian Street defeated Larry Hamilton. And then on the 3rd, Dorton Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina, Pez Watley defeated Adrian Street by disqualification. And then on April the 6th, at the Norfolk Scope in Norfolk, Virginia, Wahoo McDaniel defeated Adrian Street. April the 8th, Civic Center in Savannah, Georgia, Adrian Street defeated Jay Youngblood. Then on the 9th, Memorial Auditorium in Greenville, South Carolina, Adrian Street defeated Sam Houston. And then on the 16th, at the Civic Center in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Mark Youngblood defeated Adrian Street. And then on the 19th of April, Hampton Roads Coliseum in Hampton, Virginia, Angelo Mosca Jr. defeated Adrian Street. And then on the 20th at Lakeland Civic Center in Lakeland, Florida, Dusty Rhodes and Adrian Street defeated Kevin Sullivan and Buzz Sawyer.
Hey, I got to talk about that just for a second.
Okay.
That is available on YouTube. Have y'all watched this?
No, I didn't.
This match? Well, this match is very interesting because what makes it very interesting is if you look at the next night, Dusty Rhodes is going against Adrian Street at the Greensboro Coliseum, but on the night prior to it, Dusty Rhodes and Adrian Street's team, and they're going against Kevin Sullivan Sawyer. This is the famous golden spike in the chest of Dusty Rhodes. Rodney, you probably don't want to watch this.
Oh, okay.
You probably don't want to see it, but the people went nuts when they did that to Dusty. I mean, they were hot. So I just thought we want to talk a little bit about what that. Jack, go ahead and pick it up.
All right. April the 21st, 1984, Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina. Dusty Rhodes defeated Adrian Street by disqualification. And then on the 29th, Winthrop Coliseum in Rock Hill, South Carolina, Adrian Street defeated Jimmy Valiant by disqualification.
Okay, now this is something else that happened about this time frame. And this is available, and it's hard to find. It's hard to find on YouTube, okay? But Adrian Street is out there doing an interview with Miss Linda, and I'm not for sure. I don't know if it was Bob Cottle. I'm not for sure it was. But here comes Jimmy Valiant out, and he gives Miss Linda. He says he's got 8 old ladies, and he's looking for the 9th one. And he wants to see if Linda was available, and he gives her some flowers and kisses her on it. Well, the very next week, he comes in, he kisses her on the mouth. Well, the third time he comes out there, Adrian Street has got, he's talking, and there he comes out and does something again. Well, this time Adrian Street's got a glove full of rocks, and he hits Jimmy Valiant with it and knocks him out, and then they paint them all up and put lipstick all over them. Very interesting stuff. Now, then they have a match with Jimmy Valiant and Adrian Street, and he does it again. He paints his face up again on this television show, and then Jimmy Valiant does an interview, and I think it was with Pez Whatley, and the loser of the fall, they had to wear a dress for a month, and and the interview was so good. It was so good the way that he went about it. All right, Jack, or is that Rodney? Whoever picks up.
Yeah, we picked up in May 4th, 1984 at the Hampton Roads Coliseum, Hampton, Virginia. Junkyard Dog defeated Adrian Street. Dorton Arena, Raleigh, North Carolina on May the 8th, 1984. Adrian Street defeats Rufus R. Jones at the high school in Chester, South Carolina on May 17th, 1984. Adrian Street versus Johnny Weaver. The Omni in Atlanta, Georgia on June the 3rd, 1984. Adrian Street versus Tommy Rogers. Civic Center, Roanoke, Virginia on June 16th, 1984. Adrian Street defeats Paul Jones by disqualification. Richmond Coliseum, Richmond, Virginia on June 22nd, 1984. Rufus R. Jones, Jimmy Valiant, and Adrian Street defeat the Assassin, Kamala and Paul Jones at the Stafford Senior High School in Stafford, Virginia on June 23rd, 1984. Adrian Street defeated Brickhouse Brown Township Auditorium, Columbia, South Carolina, July the 3rd, 1984. Adrian Street defeated Assassin number 1. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina television taping on July the 4th, 1984. It's Jimmy Valiant, Adrian Street, and Rufus R. Jones defeating Bobby Bass, Paul Kelly, and Kurt Von Hess. Myrtle Beach again on the same day on July the 4th, 1984. It's Jimmy Valiant, Adrian Street, and Rufus R. Jones defeating Kamala, the Assassins 1 and 3.
I got to ask the question. How did they turn Adrian Street?
Has something to do with Paul Jones. I did see a part of that on one of the, but it did have to do with Paul Jones. I'm not sure if Paul Jones insulted him. I'm not sure how that transpired. But it did have to do with Paul Jones because, of course, he's wrestling with him.
Okay, I never could find that on YouTube. So maybe if somebody knows about it, leave us a comment.
I think it's through just interviews. Paul Jones had derogatory remarks to say about Adrian.
Okay.
I'm kind of thinking that's the way.
Well, if somebody knows, if you know for sure, leave us a comment.
Because at the same time, it was a match, Jimmy Valiant and Adrian Street from the arenas. The match ended and Paul Jones and the Assassins came in, and it ended up with Jimmy Valiant and Adrian Street battling Paul Jones and the Assassins. And so I guess that worked. And then Adrian came back on television and said that he would team with Jimmy Valiant, that what would he call him, a toss pot Jimmy Valiant. and against Paul Jones and the Assassins. 1-3, by the way.
Yeah, number 3 was who? Hercules Hernandez.
Yes. All right, so we come up on July the 8th, 1984, Asheville Civic Center, Asheville, North Carolina. The Assassins defeated Buzz Sawyer and Adrian Street Memorial Auditorium, Greenville, South Carolina on July the 9th, 1984. Dusty Rhodes, Jimmy Valiant, and Adrian Street defeated Paul Jones and the Assassins. Township Auditorium, Columbia, South Carolina on July the 10th, 1984. William McDaniel, Jimmy Valiant, Adrian Street defeating Paul Jones and the Assassin. Cumberland County Memorial Auditorium, Fayetteville, North Carolina on July the 16th, 1984. The Assassins defeat Wahoo McDaniel and Adrian Street. You have to be careful about adding that S on it.
Yes, you do. You make some people
Sumter County Exhibition Center, Sumter, South Carolina on July the 19th, 1984. Adrian Street, Rufus R. Jones, and Pez Watley defeated Paul Jones and the Assassins. Greenwood Civic Center, Greenwood, South Carolina, July the 25th, 1984 is Adrian Street of the Junkyard Dog versus the Assassins. Winners unknown. Norfolk Scope in Norfolk, Virginia on August the 2nd, 1984. Assassin number 3 defeated Adrian Street. Richmond Coliseum, Richmond, Virginia on the August the 17th, 1984. James J. Dillon defeated Adrian Street. Adrian and Linda would then make their way to Mid-South Wrestling.
I wonder if that was a loser leave town match between.
It was a loser leave town match. Adrian came back as Mrs. Adrian Street in a mask. Everybody does it. If you lose a loser leave town, you come back in a mask. It doesn't matter where you. It's the Yellow Dog, Barry Windham, Midnight Rider, Dusty, Bill Watts.
Adrian Street would go to Mid-South Wrestling next. Not for sure they used Adrian Street as good as they could have. They don't think he was used as good in Mid-South Wrestling as he was in the rest of the territories that he had been to prior to that. Evidently, Dusty Rhodes liked Adrian Street, took him from Florida, brought him to North Carolina, almost did the same exact thing with him there. So Dusty Rhodes must have liked him. Because, somebody said, did Dusty Rhodes have a problem with him? Well, I don't see why he did, because he took him to 2 different places back to back, so that he was taking care of the booking. If you enjoyed this video, give us the big thumbs up. Subscribe to the page if you haven't already. Go one step further, hit that notification bell.
Yeah, I did it.
I'll stop him. I remember Dad would do this, and he'd look at his finger because the guy wouldn't, like, is this not working? Share the video as well, and we'll see you on the next video right here on Pro Wrestling Inside Now.
Right, hey, I'm going to pop out and come back in because I keep losing my signal here.
I see that.
I don't know why. I've got full bars here from my internet, but I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, let's go make sure. Okay, Michael Barr, he is with us. I am here. Thank you. Hill and all. I'm telling you, Michael, I believe you're the heel. Sometimes Rodney's the heel. But I think, Michael, you took over the number 1 heel spot in the thing. But we enjoy every moment of it. Jack Lord and Jerry Oates should be in the top 100. Richard Hood. Terrence Hardy said hello. He is here with us. Michael Barr asked the question. He said, have any of you seen the original WCW Hardcore Championship belt?
If it was out there, I'm sure I've seen it.
I don't know that I have. I didn't even know they had one. They had a Hardcore Championship belt.
I think they did at the end when they were desperate and they were trying to do everything they could to stay afloat. I think Russo brought it in along with other questionable stuff.
See, Dan Lang said, do you guys know anything about Dick Roberts in the Hollywood Blondes? He filled in for Buddy in Memphis. Don't know that I do. Don't know that I ever heard of him, but I don't know. We'll look that up, Dan. We'll try to find that out.
Oh my goodness!
Richard Hood.
I'm looking at that belt. That is the ugliest belt I believe I have ever seen in my life. No wonder they went out of business.
Have you guys ever checked out Adrian Street Wrestling in England? Yes, we've got a
Yes.
video actually on YouTube
Yes.
of him wrestling.
Yes.
Very good stuff. Just great stuff. Have you seen it, Jack?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Some good stuff. Michael said he would like to. Well, Michael, YouTube. Just put Adrian Street. Even if you've not went to the YouTube channel, there is an Adrian Street match with him and I don't remember what the guys did. I think they were the Hell's Angels. They're wrestling against somebody on there.
There's look up Johnny Saint while you're looking up British wrestling, because that guy was tremendous. Long before we ever thought about doing this podcast, I was watching his matches on YouTube.
Richard Hood said, told him, Michael, check it out on YouTube. Yes, just put Adrian Street on it. It'll come up. Yep. Thanks, Michael Barr. Michael Barr asked Adrian Street, Miss Linda, when he and she wrestled against, give me some help here, wrestling against the other blonde wrestler and his valet in Birmingham, Alabama, Hustler Rip Rogers and Brenda Britton.
Mm-hmm.
Loved them, by the way. They were so good. Rip Rogers was tremendous in the ring. He was a tremendous person outside the ring. Rip was just he was just a tremendous athlete, a tremendous person, and so was Brenda. They were just great people. Michael Barr said Adrian was an okay wrestler. I just could not get into skipping around in the ring. He was a good wrestler. Well, now you weren't supposed to like that, Michael. Charles said the Missouri Mauler was a main eventer for Gunkel. I just never saw him. I just never saw him wrestle. I know who he was because he's kin to Jody Hamilton, right? That's his brother. Mm-hmm. Am I right about that? I'm thinking I'm right, but maybe not. But.
Yep. No, you're right.
Richard Hood said, "Do you think Adrian Street going to see a little sick, little girl sick in the hospital had anything to turning to a baby face?" Where was that at? Was that in Continental?
I saw that here not too long ago. No, I think he was already a baby face, and they showed that, as part of, really getting him over even more as a baby face.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know.
It's not that heels didn't do things like that back then, but they didn't televise it. They didn't advertise it, I should say.
Rip Rogers and his valet, Rick Brooks said. Rick Brooks, Michael, thank you. Actually, Brent, I think the assassin number 3 was Barry Orton. Herc was already unmasked and gone. Oh, was he? Was he already in Mid-South Wrestling by then?
He would have, since we did announce later at the last of that, he would move to Mid-South. He was already there. Hercules was already there.
I think you might be right, Dan.
You're exactly right, Dan.
Richard Hood said, I said the top 10. What was he?
Oh, you said me and Jerry Oates was in the top 100. He said, no, he meant the top 10.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Brian Turner is with us. He said, what would be a ballpark payout back the Continental days for the locker room? Birmingham, Alabama, you're looking probably what, Rodney, 125, 150, maybe 300 for the main event?
Yeah, probably 300 main event.
If you were on the main event, 300. And in Knoxville, 300. It'd be according to how many people in the car.
You probably average between 700 and 1,000 when everything was going good.
Yeah. And that was almost everybody, though.
And that's on average. That's not what people on the main event and what on the lower matches did. I'm talking about an average.
Yeah. Some people on the main event could be making 1,500. I mean, it was because, Tommy Rich was making 1,500 probably a week, and plus probably making $3,000 a week just in seminars and stuff.
Well, I remember Danny Davis talking about making 1,200 a week.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just good, and it was good for that little territory. I mean, I wish I could make $1,200 now. I'd be happy. Let's see. Terrence. Well, I think something happened there. Terrence Hardy said Missouri Mauler was a main eventer in Mid-Atlantic as well. I think about the same time that Jody was there as the Bolo, right? I'm thinking. Because he didn't wrestle as the assassin until later on.
Yeah.
I think he would wrestle at the Bolos. Michael Barr, I recall a match with Adrian called Ron Fuller, a long, tall glass of water in Adrian's eyes. Rick Brooks, Rip has a good interview with Hannibal out there. He's another one of them that can cuss all the time. He's another one of them Jim Cornettes that cuss all the time. By the way, young Jim Cornette when he first started, really.
With King Carl Fergie.
King Carl Fergie. Rip Rogers is a great talent, yes. Michael Barr, Rodney Brandt, when did the transition from Dothan move to Birmingham? 1985. I think it was June 1985. Rocky Hamilton is what Dan Lang said, Jody's brother. Is him. All right, y'all ready to do the Kerry Von Erich? All right. Let's see here.
Rodney, I will go through 1980 if you'll pick up January 19th, 81 on bottom of page 2.
Okay.
All right. Here, let me figure out where I'm at. Okay, here we go. Going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside Now. This is part 2 of Kerry Von Erich. Jack, you're going to start us out.
Kerry Von Erich would continue wrestling in Texas for his father in January of 1980. We continue looking at highlights of his career in February of 1980. On February the 3rd in Dallas, Texas, the Spoiler and Mark Lewin defeated David and Kerry Von Erich. And then on the 10th in Dallas, Texas, Kerry Von Erich and the Spoiler ended without a winner in a time limit draw. And on the 11th, Fort Worth, Texas, Kerry Von Erich defeated Killer Brooks. And then February the 14th, 1980, Sports Arena in Amarillo, Texas, Ted DiBiase and Kerry Von Erich defeated Tim Brooks and Jim Dillon. Then on the 14th of March, 1980, Sam Houston Coliseum in Houston, Texas, Kerry Von Erich defeated Lord Jonathan Boyd. And then for the WWF in New York City on March the 24th, Madison Square Garden, Kerry Von Erich defeated Jose Estrada.
By the way, that was his first appearance ever at Madison Square Garden in New York. All right, that's all I really need to say of this.
Kerry Von Erich and Bruiser Brody defeated Mark Lewin and Gino Hernandez. Then on April the 12th, Granbury, Texas, Kerry Von Erich and Les Thornton defeated J.J. Dillon and Mr. Hito by disqualification. June the 2nd, Fort Worth, Texas, Bruiser Brody and Kerry Von Erich defeated Gino Hernandez and Johnny Valiant. July the 3rd, Taylor County Expo Center in Abilene, Texas. Kevin Von Erich and Kerry Von Erich defeated Stan Stasiak and Han Schroeder by disqualification. July the 4th, 1980, Sam Houston Coliseum in Houston, Texas. Kerry, Kevin, and Gary Young defeated Mr. Hito, Kazuko Sakurada, and J.J. Dillon.
That was easy for you to say.
And no, it wasn't. And then July the 6th in Dallas, Texas, Kerry Von Erich and Sweet Brown Sugar defeated Stan Stasiak and Hans Schroeder. Then the July the 28th, Fort Worth, Texas, Kerry Von Erich defeated Harley Race in a challenge match. July the 30th, 1980, Fair Park Coliseum in Lubbock, Texas, Gary Young versus Kerry Von Erich, winner unknown. And then August the 1st, Sam Houston Coliseum in Houston, Texas, Sweet Brown Sugar and Kerry Von Erich defeated Killer Brooks and Stan Stasiak, a title change for the NWA Texas Tag Team titles. September the 2nd, 1980, Sports Arena in Amarillo, Texas. Kerry Von Erich and El Halicon defeated Gary Young and
Pat Song. for the
Did we lose
NWA
him?
American Tag Team titles in a 2 out of 3 fall match. Go ahead, Jack.
Am I still here?
You're
Yep,
here.
Okay. All right. And then September the 6th, 1980, Paris, Texas, Gary Hart and Kerry Von Erich versus Kerry Von Erich, winner unknown. September the 9th, Sports Arena in Amarillo again. Kerry Von Erich and Sweet Brown Sugar, the champions, defeated Stan Stasiak and Bulldog Brower by disqualification. September the 14th, Dallas, Texas, Kerry Von Erich, David Von Erich, and Kevin Von Erich and Bruiser Brody defeated Gino Hernandez, Gary Hart, Gary Young, and Pac Song. Then September the 29th in Fort Worth, Texas, Harley Race versus Kerry Von Erich ended without a winner and a double countout. November the 18th, 1980, Sports Arena in Amarillo, Texas, Kerry Von Erich and Mark Lewin versus Stan Stasiak and Tim Brooks, who were the Texas Tag Team Champions, winner unknown in that match. And in December the 28th, 1980, in Dallas, Texas, Kerry Von Erich defeated Gino Hernandez, a title change for the NWA American Heavyweight title.
All right, pick up in Fort Worth, Texas on January the 19th, 1981. It was for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Harley Race defeats Kerry Von Erich. Then again in Dallas on February 1st, 1981, it's Bruiser Brody and Kerry Von Erich defeating Killer Brooks and the Great Kabuki. Back in Dallas on February the 8th, 1981, the Great Kabuki versus Kerry Von Erich. Both of a double countout in that one. Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas on February 22nd, 1981. Harley Race versus Kerry Von Erich ended with no contest. Of course, that was for the World Heavyweight Championship. Shreveport for Mid-South Wrestling at the Municipal Auditorium, Shreveport, Louisiana on May the 1st, 1981. Kerry Von Erich defeated Ernie Ladd by disqualification. Back at the auditorium in Shreveport on May the 8th, 1981, Kerry Von Erich defeats the Great Kabuki. Kill Auditorium, St. Louis, Missouri on May the 15th, 1981. It's Baron Von Raschke and Dick Murdoch defeating Kerry and David Von Erich. It's Municipal Auditorium again in Shreveport, Louisiana on May the 22nd, 1981. Kerry Von Erich defeats Ernie Ladd. Rapides Parish Coliseum, Alexandria, Louisiana, on May the 23rd, 1981. Kerry Von Erich defeated King Carl Fergie. I wonder if he was the king then. Maybe not. Maybe it's just plain Carl Fergie. I don't know. Municipal Auditorium, Shreveport, Louisiana, on May the 29th, 1981. Kerry Von Erich defeats the Grappler. It's Star Wars at Reunion Arena, Dallas, Texas, on June the 4th, 1981. Kerry Von Erich defeats Ernie Ladd for the NWA American Heavyweight Championship. Checker Dome, St. Louis, Missouri, June the 12th, 1981. Dick Murdoch versus Kerry Von Erich. And, of course, that was a double countout. Civic Center in Monroe, Louisiana on June the 14th, 1981. Kerry Von Erich defeated Crazy Luke Graham. Kill Auditorium, St. Louis, Missouri on July the 17th, 1981. Jack Briscoe, Dick the Bruiser, and Kerry Von Erich defeated Dick Murdoch, James J. Dillon, and Ken Patera. Back in Dallas on July the 19th, 1981, the Great Kabuki and Chang Chung defeated Kevin and Kerry Von Erich by disqualification. The Coliseum at the Mississippi State Fairgrounds in Jackson, Mississippi on July the 23rd, 1981. Kerry Von Erich versus the Super Destroyer. That's the end of that.
Was he working for Mid-South Wrestling at the time? Because he seems like he was wrestling more in Mid-South Wrestling than he was in Dallas at the time.
At this point, it looked like he's being sent out. It's same thing was happening with Kevin. He was being sent out to other places. He was working St. Louis. He's working for Mid-South. And he was all over the place.
And I think the Sweet Brown Sugar was Skip Young, wasn't it?
And a lot in the Dallas show, World Class actually went into Shreveport, so I could see why he would work a lot in those markets.
He was over in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Sure,
man, he was over. This is part 2. We'll be looking at part 3 of Kerry Von Erich. Kerry was not the greatest wrestler when he started, but he became one of the greats, I believe. He was really, really good. But at the first, he would get lost a lot. You go back and watch some matches when he first started, he got lost a lot. But by this time, By this time, he's really picked up and has some great matches with Harley Race. Those matches you can watch. They are part. They're matches on YouTube you can see. So they're very, very good. If you enjoyed this video, give us the big thumbs up and subscribe to the page if you haven't already. Go one step further. Hit that notification bell and share the video. Until the next video on Kerry Von Erich, on behalf of Jack Lord, Rodney West, I'm Brett West. We'll see you in the next video. All right, let's see where we were at on here. And see. Okay, they're talking to each other. Michael Barr said, I thought they were Richard. Michael Barr said, so sad how Kerry Von Erich's career ended. He was such a great wrestler along with his other brothers. Yeah, I agree with that. They were all just magnificent. Boy, they were rock stars. They definitely was rock stars.
Well, your two youngest probably should have had different roles in the industry besides being in-ring performers. But man, those older ones, David, Kevin, Kerry, man,
yeah,
they were great.
Yeah, that was poor old Mike. I don't think he wanted to wrestle though.
No, Mike didn't. Mike was kind of pushed into it. Well, it wasn't no kinda. He was pushed into it.
Michael, he was a great talent. Dan says, remember Gary Young? I didn't realize Gary Young had wrestled as long as he had.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Gary really won't have anything to do with the business anymore. I think he lives in Oklahoma now, and I don't know. He's pretty bitter from what I understood. They've tried to get him to do a bunch of appearances and stuff. He just won't do it.
Well, the business can sour you just a tad sometimes because it's a very brutal business. It's a very brutal business. It's not easy. It never has been.
It is, and it was hard to break out in that Texas area if you weren't a Von Erich.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yes, he was. Michael Barr said he wrestled in Dothan a few times. Gary Young wrestled in Dothan.
Yep. I remember him.
Michael Barr asked, did Kerry Von Erich tag team any of his brothers and family? He said, Michael, he sure did. He said, I just answered your question. They said Richard Hood said that the Iron Sheik helped train Kerry. Oh, tell you what. Oh, no.
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know.
Shake it, baby. Shake it, baby. Let me get them heat. Sheik. Oh, we saw Ole throw his poor little, what was his little thing, whatever that thing.
Hat.
He had. He threw it way up on top of the TBS studios one time. He threw it way up there. Now, all he had to do was go push this. It was just a, it goes, what was the, maybe 15 feet? It might not even been that high, the ceiling at the TV station, WTBS. I mean, it may have been 12 feet. I don't know. But all you had to do is push the slider over there, walk up there and get it. But he wouldn't do that. And Rodney had to go up there and get it for him. It's crazy. I'm not going up there.
And it was very unusual for them to allow us into the interview area on Tuesdays when the interviews are being done. For whatever reason, we got to do it that day. Maybe the dad didn't want us sitting out. And Rich afraid we might get into some trouble at the studios there. They used to let us play with the equipment in the control room.
Yes, they did. I think that guy might got in trouble for that. He's asking about Rick's asking about Lord Jonathan Boyd here. There's Mike Golden in the background there. Am I right? I'm thinking, but yeah, he was pretty tough.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have wanted to mess with him. Charles said the Von Erich's Freebirds feud was a great feud. Yes, it was. I don't know how them guys had any matches, but they, I guess they did. Jonathan Boyd and Luke Williams, when they wrestled in Dothan, yes, great crowds, by the way, went against the Freebirds. Actually, I think was it not the that's how they turned. They were going to cut Michael Hayes' hair at the
Michael Hayes actually he lost a loser leave town match though that night, so it had to be Terry, because Terry went nuts on all of them in that cage against Joe LeDuc because they were going to cut his hair. Cut Michael Hayes' hair.
Brent Kerr wrestled in Dothan, Alabama on a couple of occasions. Yes, remember when that happened. The Iron Sheik's boots were made with hooks on the toes. Odd boots for an odd man.
Those were made by Clifford Macias out in Houston, Texas.
He could stir a crowd up better than I'd ever seen.
Yes.
One night he ran Burhead Jones all over. It was we were in Cedartown, Georgia. He ran him all up into the bleachers, and those bleachers were high and they were built in, so he ran Burhead up one side and down the other of those bleachers.
Somebody was talking about, do they remember when Terry Funk beat the guy up for wearing his hat?
Yes, I just saw that.
Mel Phillips.
Yes.
I think, to be honest, he did the same thing to Donnelly's, what we called him. I don't know what his last name was. He did the same thing to him one time at the Omni. They had seconds back then. Don was a second, and he would open the ropes mainly for the bad guy.
Hey, and Don had he had his own outfits made.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, very comfortable.
He was styled. Did you remember him, Jack?
Mm-hmm.
The guy that would come. I mean, he would open up the heels for him. The whole thing. I enjoyed seeing him. And he was a great guy. He was actually an extra for movies all over the state of Georgia. If there was a movie being made in Georgia, he was in it.
Yes. And he played, if for whatever reason, it seemed like he also did haunted houses. It seemed like I remember him doing haunted houses.
Yeah, he didn't even have to put any makeup on.
No, when Terry Funk got him with that towel, he was beating him with that.
Terry Funk was way before his time.
We just laughed. We asked him, "Did Terry beat you up with that towel?"
Not to get off track, who wrestled is Black Bart, Rick Harris.
Yep.
That was pretty
really
good.
And Rick Harris is a super nice guy.
Yeah, he was. Even though he did not like the Continental Cat. I'll tell you that right now. He hated that gimmick. He hated it with a passion. Yeah, but just like the original Sheik, Rick Brooks, about his boots. Kevin was trained by Gary Hart, and Les Thornton then trained David and Kerry behind Fritz's back. Fritz probably knew about it. He knew everything going on. Newland Sheep Herders.
I thought David was the first one to train because he was the oldest.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
I mean, they had one other brother, Jack, that died. He was the oldest, but he died when he was little.
Yeah, I think he got electrocuted, didn't he?
Yep, sure did.
They sent him out. He sent him out to go get something out there in like his bike or something that he left out there in the storm, and he told him to go out there and get it, and he got executed.
Yep.
No wonder his wife got to where she didn't like Frizz. He must have been a rough dude.
Yeah.
I know that Larry Cheatham said that he was there for a couple of months, and he said he treated them kids horrible.
Yeah.
It was bad. All right, guys, anything we need to talk about before we Kevin was the oldest, is what Dan Lang said.
Is he? I was thinking David was, but you could be right.
Yeah, because nobody would think Scott Armstrong was the oldest of the Armstrongs. So Charles said Abdullah let him touch his boots. I didn't know where he was going with that at first. Let's see. Richard Hood said, guys, I meant those guys wrestle stiff in Texas, especially Kevin. Yeah, they would. They wasn't playing with you. I'll tell you that right now. Well, because I think they were messed up half the time, so they didn't know where they were at. So
every territory had their own style, but
I think we lost Jack, didn't we? Yeah, he's all stopped up right there.
Well, there he goes again. He's back. He froze for a second. He froze for a second there.
He did. He was in a good.
My signal just keeps going in and out here. Like I got network connection right now is 0 out of 10.
Yeah, they're saying that's what it says
last
here.
week it was me.
Yeah.
So I guess we're changing places.
Wow.
Michael Barr, we'll say this real quick, then we got to get off of here. I know there are a lot of territories, but so many stories can be told from here in Southeast Alabama, Southeastern Championship and Continental Championship Wrestling. Your dad's referee. Yes, we can tell many, many stories, and we will. We will, and most of them we'll have to tell right here because last time we told stories, we got in trouble. So.
Well, and we're trying, we're trying to get a wide base here of fans too. So we try to touch everybody's territories and history in their areas, and can't just concentrate just on one area all the time.
And that's one thing that Mitch is going to do. He is going to concentrate on the, and then occasionally Jack will be on the show, and then occasionally I'll be in it. But on majority, we're letting him just take that ball and run with it and see what he can do with it. And he thinks he can do a more of a because he didn't like that we was taking 10 minutes doing it. So I think he wanted it a little longer. And I understand that's his passion. That's his passion. So, all right, guys, thank y'all so much. We will see y'all next Monday. Don't forget, 7 o'clock, we will go live next week, and we will talk to the supporters next Monday at 7. And so, and then we'll come back afterwards, and we'll do a couple of videos, and then we'll talk again. We just want to make sure we get off of here around 9 o'clock so we can all get in bed and get up for the next day because we all work and we all have Jack has children he has to take care of. So we will try to get out of here at 9 o'clock every night.
What did you do with the dogs tonight?
They're locked in the bedroom
because I didn't hear them.
All right, thank you guys, and we'll see y'all. We will see everybody on Monday. We certainly do appreciate you supporting the channel. We'll see y'all